All right, in the latest episode of Your Mom's House podcast, episode 484, we're greeted with kind of a unfortunately familiar sponsor, BetterHelp. And the reason, I guess, for making this video is because there's been a lot of controversy previously last year, back in October, surrounding BetterHelp and YouTube creators being sponsored by BetterHelp. And if you're not familiar with it, go ahead and just search BetterHelp and search on Google, DuckDuckGo, whatever you want. First page, you'll already find results, listings about this whole controversy, everything that blew up in October, where I believe it started, ironically, or whatever, with PewDiePie actually calling out all these huge name YouTube creators, a couple of really big names like Philip DeFranco and H3H3, and there's a bunch of other ones that I'm not really familiar with, but if you're into like the whole YouTube creator scene, there are all a lot of really big popular names. And another thing I noticed while getting ready to make this video is that most of the comedy podcasts that, if you do watch more than just Your Mom's House, a lot of the other ones also used to be sponsored by BetterHelp as well. They had a huge advertising campaign going on last year before everything blew up kind of in their faces, and we haven't really seen anything from them. And they're basically, since this came out, no YouTube content creator will touch BetterHelp. Nobody will touch them because of the controversy that blew up, because everybody got called out, and it ended up being a really just kind of scummy, nasty kind of thing. Your Mom's House was one of these podcasts that was previously sponsored by them as well. And that episode was actually, the episode where they were sponsored by BetterHelp was actually the episode with Ethan and Hila Klein from H3H3, which is ironic given how much backlash they received for they called it not so much an endorsement, but just that they had them as a sponsor. Because one of the big things that came out from all this were all the names that got called out, all posted videos, of course, of like justifying why they had BetterHelp as a sponsor. And you know what? They didn't know, and who cares? So like, whatever. They all, after all this came out, they all said, fuck this, we're gonna drop BetterHelp, and I'm sorry that I used them before, and I'm not gonna use them ever again. And then that was the end of it, which is that's what you would expect. You can't, people were still upset and blah, 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 but you can't really expect much more. They said, okay, you know what? We looked into it, and they are kind of fucked up, and so we dropped them. Now, if you're not familiar again, is that, I guess I'll kind of give a better backstory here. I kind of jumped around a little bit on you with this, is that basically it all kind of comes from, they have these just really shady terms of service, basically, so BetterHelp, let me explain BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a online service for getting like counseling from, you have depression or whatever, and you need to talk to somebody, a professional, not just where like people call into Your Mom's House to get, hey, my boyfriend cheated on me, and then you have Tom giving advice, like not shit like that. It's supposed to be actual professionals. But in the terms of service, they state they can't guarantee that the counselor that you're going to be speaking with is actually qualified in the area in which you need help, or they're just not qualified at all, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't sound like the bar for the people that they use is very high. And then another thing that was kind of worse than that even, because you can't really guarantee, okay, whatever, you have a weird case, that they can match you up with a counselor perfectly. Okay, I can understand that, sure. But the bigger issue is that they also had really shady billing practices where they were just charging people crazy amounts of money. People were having issues canceling. People were canceling and still getting charged money. And so the whole thing just seemed to unravel and expose this company as being really shady. And it all just exploded at once because all of a sudden they were getting advertised like constantly on all these podcasts. And so all of a sudden, lots of people started having really terrible experiences and then posting on like the Reddit subreddits for all these YouTube creators like PewDiePie or Philip DeFranco and stuff like that, and saying, hey, you know, this company actually sucks. They're kind of a scam. They kind of fucked me over. And so that's kind of where all this comes from. And now, last week we just seen that Your Mom's House brought him back as a sponsor, and it stood out to when I seen it. I thought, wow, this is weird. This name looks really familiar. Isn't this the same company that got in trouble last year? I looked it up, and yeah, it is. And then I looked in the comments, and people were already calling it out, like, yeah, you guys are gonna get shit for this. And I go on their Instagram, Twitter feeds. Everybody's calling out Tom and Christina, like, hey, what's going on here? So it seems to be that a lot of people have noticed this, what's going on. And so I figured I would just make a video on this, and not trying to just throw shade or whatever, but just trying to, I guess, lay out the situation, and hopefully they can, hopefully they see the reaction from their fans that they're receiving about this, and you know, and take action on that. So yeah, so I guess last time we seen them sponsored, Tom went way in on it, way more than I had seen. Because I went back and watched a lot of clips on different YouTubers and the comedy podcasts and such where they were advertising on. Nobody really went as hard as Tom, where he even went so far as this, talking about endorsing them.
You know, we can't endorse or stress enough how much it's helped the two of us. I actually got jealous of how happy and just and you know, content and like you became from going to therapy. So yeah. I started probably, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and I've been really,
it's the best.
Yeah,
You're happy.
I've been really happy with it.
Because the thing is, people walk around with depression, anxiety, and there's no need to suffer. You can see somebody, you can talk to somebody, and BetterHelp.com/YMH.
Yeah, it's secure, it's professional, it's convenient. Go to BetterHelp.com/YMH.
Now, you know, I don't think that they should be, you know, crucified for what they did before, you know, or anybody else who had them on before. I mean, nobody really knew, especially not comedy pop. How the fuck, you know, these guys don't know. They're just comedians, you know. They don't know how to vet this shit. But now we're talking, this happened in October, you know, now we're February. I guess if the video came out in January, right? This is several months later. Tom and Christina, they have a whole staff. Well, not, you know, a whole staff, but they have a couple people, right, who work for them to produce their podcast. And certainly they're going through when they get contacted for advertisements and whatever agency they go through that that does like just kind of like bundles all the advertisements and whatnot. So they have other people who can also do this, right? They have those two young guys who work there. As well as Josh Potter. So I guess they have 3 people, right? So they have a decent sized staff. They should know better. I mean, not to mention that Tom is also friends with Ethan from H3H3, who caught some of the biggest shit for this. To be able to say, hey, maybe this isn't the best sponsor for our podcast. You know, this is a huge podcast. It's very successful. They just moved in this new studio. You know, I mean, they're not hurting for money, right? They have enough pull that they can vet and be a little bit pickier on who they choose to sponsor them. They don't need to just take anybody. You know, if it was like someone small, just starting up their podcast, then, you know, whatever, I guess. I mean, who cares? You got to make a little bit of money. You're trying to get your feet wet, you know, make something of yourself. But this is just like, you're big enough to be able to say no. No, I don't like what you guys do. And also, what hurts more, I guess, I don't know, that's kind of a stupid term to say. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt me. I'm not using them. God, fine. But what's shitty, I guess, about what they're doing is that they make money for this. They don't, like, BetterHelp isn't just like, okay, here's, you know, $1,000 to run our ad on your podcast. What actually happens with these ones with like the referral codes is that they make money. Tom and Christina make money when you use their referral code to sign up on BetterHelp, right? So that's how most of these are, right? You see like Ridge Wallet or this whatever the mattress one is that they always have. It's like stevia or some shit. But it's it's like the same five products that every comedy podcast advertises. They all have the referral code, Cash App, use whatever. And so PewDiePie laid this out is that because obviously he's a huge YouTube star, he's been approached by them to be sponsored, so he knows how much he makes from these referral codes, and called it out that you make right around $200 per person that signs up using your referral codes.
But the most concerning thing about this is not that they're getting paid to promote it. I think that's fine, but they are paid per person that signs up to BetterHelp. And not just a little money either. It's been confirmed that YouTubers have been paid $200 per person that they get to sign up for BetterHelp. $200. That's a lot of money. Just get 1,000 people signing up, you just made $200,000. So obviously you're highly incentivized to tell people to sign up for this service.
So Tom and Christina, they're gonna get $200 every time you sign up for BetterHelp. And so basically they're like selling out their fans for this money to a service that's well known to be a scam. It's not entirely that it's a scam, but just that they're a really shady, nasty business. I mean, there's lots of really nasty, shady businesses that you wouldn't want to associate yourself with, right? And this is one of them. It really kind of diminishes the value of your brand when you sponsor other brands who are known for being shitty like this and just kind of like scummy. And it's something that hasn't gone unnoticed either, which is what is more telling about this, is that it's not that it's just like a small niche community who's like upset because, oh, we just don't like this company. It's that they're legitimately a bad company, and like, I get that this podcast isn't like, it's very crude. It's, the humor's nasty. You gotta have really thick skin to like it. And I love this podcast. I love Tom and Christina. They're great. They're hilarious. But, like, don't sell out your fans for $200 when you know that it's a shitty service. Like, that because because this came out in October last year. So better. You can't play dumb anymore, right? Like, last year, nobody called out any comedy podcasts aren't big enough to like make the waves on YouTube, right? So that's why all you've seen were like the really big actual YouTube stars who have 5 million subscribers and whatnot. But these guys are small enough that it's really only people who are into comedy are watching these, and so they kind of really flew on the radar. But they all noticed and they all dropped it, right? Like, you had Theo Von was a previous sponsor, Tiger Belly was a previous sponsor. H3H3 I brought up already, was a previous sponsor, Stevie Weeby, and I think there was some more that I've seen, but just like smaller names, not necessarily, like, I don't need to call them all out, I guess, but there's enough. And I look back, I went through all their videos today, it took a few minutes to just, okay, so it happened in October, so let's look at videos in October. Okay, here are their sponsor, and here's when all the controversy dropped, and after that date, you've never seen them sponsored on any of these podcasts ever again. So obviously they all got the word that, hey, don't sponsor this. Because when you look in the YouTube comments on all those videos, and then the week after that, it's just everyone's calling them out on the BetterHelp stuff. Like, hey, did you guys see what's going on? This is fucked up. There's all kinds of shit going on. You go on their subreddits because they all have subreddits for discussing the podcast. And there's threads on all of them talking about that. So obviously they're seeing that and they're aware of what's happening. So there is no, like, you can't play dumb about the situation. Like, they have to take full responsibility for this. And I guess, like, the only, like, action that we can really expect from them is to just say, hey, you know what? That was a bad call on our part. We shouldn't have taken them as a sponsor. We're sorry. We're not going to, we'll vet a little bit better. We'll, Google the name of the company once to see if they're a fucking scam. Like, how about just do that, like, just something simple, and then that's it, and then move on from there. I mean, we can't really, I don't know, like, I don't think that people should just stop listening to them, period, because of this. I think that would be really stupid. But I would expect them to at least just say, hey, you know what, we fucked up, and we're not going to use like these shitty, scummy companies anymore for sponsors, because we don't need to. We have enough money to get better sponsors than this. So I don't know. I guess that's kind of the call to action that I would like to see from Tom and Christina on the next podcast. We'll see if anything happens. I mean, they can't not be aware of this, or at least if they aren't, they will be brought aware of it by their producers, the other guys that they have making the show, because all their comments on every feed, every platform that you can find them on, there's comments about, hey, why are you sponsoring BetterHelp again? What's going on? Didn't you guys learn the last time? So I don't know. I guess we'll look forward to seeing the next episode. Hopefully it's good. I really enjoyed the last episode, even though it was kind of fucking really, really crude and nasty, and could have gone without hearing Red Band's story about that, and I'm not going to touch on that in this video, but yeah, I don't know. Let's see.